So I wasn't too sure how to start this video. I could start with a recap from the last video, a haul, or a review. So I ended up with a bit of mix and match. So I got a bit of a haul, starting off with a box of Lego, approximately 6 kilo. It's got completely different elements, and I don't think there's any complete sets. But the main reason for buying this was for the bricks. And there's always a gamble ordering from marketplaces. You never know if there's going to be any complete sets, chewed pieces, random non-Lego or brick parts, or sticky pieces. So this box was a little sticky. See me rubbing my fingers together. More of this box to come later. So in my last video I ordered 4 32x32 double-sided base plates, knowing that it won't be enough for what I'm doing. So I've ordered another 20 more at the same time as placing the order for the 4 that I got, but they take a little bit longer to be delivered, so by the time I made this video they would have arrived. And I also got a bag of green pieces, mainly plates. When I was going through the bag, it's mainly 2x8 plates and 4x4 plates, and at long last the 1x4 Technic bricks arrived. So now I can join the base plates together. Hurrah! So I've got 4 boxes of these, as each of the 32x32 plates would need 8 pieces, and they came in little tubs. Little bit of a bonus there. I can use these for different elements once they're emptied. I also got 2 different shades of blue 1x2 trans tiles for water. Then last of all, something that I've been really looking forward to is the People Pack 60202. Initially I didn't get this for the figures, I got it for the 10, but it was a complete set with no box. So the Lego set was released in June 2018 and retired in 2019, and at the time was £34 or $39, and I got this for a reasonable price, although it's missing the box. And I was really surprised with the amount of figures there were. But like I mentioned, when I saw the listing and the tent, I ordered it without paying much attention to the rest of it. So included in the set is an eagle, a fish, of course the tent, a mountain bike and a ramp. And I put the mountain bike in the boat just so it'll stand up for the sake of the video. Got a little stove with a frying pan and an egg in there. And there's the tent just at the back there. And beside that there's a little rock face for climbing. And there's a minifigure with a baby. A very scary looking woman with a hammer. And here you see someone with a phone with a selfie stick, and then beside that you've got 2 figures with life jackets and helmets and paddles, a couple of minifigures with glass bottles, binoculars, mobile phone, walking sticks, and there's the rock climber, a little scout, camera put on the wrong way, and a little, it could be a table light, I don't know, little lantern just there. And the view from the back. Mainly all of these got printed backs, bit of a bonus, and there's the mountain bike rider. So, back to the campsite. What I've done here is I've got the original stream that I had going through. I wasn't impressed when I was making it the first time round, and now it's all by itself. Well, it really does look very unimpressive. 1x2 tiles slapped straight onto a green base plate. Not that pretty at all. And here's the river. It still needs a little bit of work doing to it. It looks a hell of a lot better. I might change the tree stumps a little, using a few slopes to get the image that there actually was a tree there. So in this video we're going to be adding the A-frame cabin. So I put the cabin roughly where I wanted it on the base plate. I didn't want it straight. I wanted a little angle, but I want to stick it down as well. And would have to work out the studs to place it. And really have to do something with the top of the cabin, as it doesn't meet properly at the top. But there's a few people who have mentioned this when reviewing it. So the cabin on a 32x32 plate, at the angle that I want, only slightly overhangs, but that is no problem at all. The angle that I wanted the cabin on, the base plate, opened up a whole can of worms, and there's me previously saying it shouldn't be a problem. I did have a look at a fellow YouTuber who's done a few videos working out angles called Brick Sculpt. However, I found the angle that I wanted wasn't covered. The cabin being an awkward shape, not quite squared. Well, yeah, it took me a little while to work it out. So what I did was I built a mock plate, which is exactly the same size as the base of the A-frame cabin. Here I was using 1x1 grey studs to try and find the angle, but then found I'd also have to mark where the grey studs were, and that's with all of the flat tiles, because the studs would lift up on the bottom of the plate that I was using to measure it with. So this took me a little while to work out, but finally there was a eureka moment, and I was quite happy with the angle that I got there. But with only 4 1x1 studs, didn't want the cabin warping over time. Here's the cabin I've just literally placed over the plates I was messing about with. Put it on, it overhangs just a little bit in some places. So I turned the cabin over and worked out the best places to put a few tiles so it'll rest on, keeping it flat. So I pulled out a few green tiles and some other tiles that I can use that can be hidden underneath the cabin, using the green tiles on the outside so it'll blend in with the vegetation. So now I've got the plate ready for the cabin, not using many tiles on there, but enough to keep it sturdy. Next was building a mill's plate, but not by the standard height of a brick. For this I used a brick and 2 plates for a little bit more height, and then placed the A-frame cabin on. Once I was happy with the cabin being secure, I tried lifting it up a few times. Yep, quite happy with that. And then placed it where it'll be sitting in the campsite. The cabin came with a few trees and a couple of bits and pieces that I'll probably dot around the campsite, like the wood hut. Here you see I've placed the wood hut right next to the A-frame cabin, and I don't think it's going to be sitting there. I probably will be looking at a different place for it. Next up is another base plate. For this I used a brick and 1 plate, so it's not as high as the cabin. And of course when I initially built the mill's plate for the cabin, I forgot to put the Technic pieces in, so I spent a little bit of time putting the Technic pieces in on all of the plates, but I haven't joined them up yet. So I've placed the mill's plate where it's going to be sitting and started marking out a few bits and pieces. So I wanted the cobblestone path roughly to follow the green 2x2 plates, and then started marking out a little bit of a hilly area, also using 1x1 studs to mark out where the hilly area begins, and I can use vegetation on the base plate. Here I started using 4x4 plates for a few raised areas in different places. Had a little raised plate in the front corner. At the back I started building it a little bit higher than the one it's meeting with the cobblestone path, gradually sloping down, and then wanted to start with the vegetation. So on this one I wanted a few more trees, and of course I started off with a tree. Don't know why I started off with a tree. Placed it roughly where I thought, yeah, that looks pretty good there, to find that's going to get in the way of me placing more vegetation down. So I ended up moving the tree next to the cabin, thinking I'd move it back when I'd finished with the vegetation, and then thought actually it looked pretty good where it was. The cobblestone pathway, I roughly wanted it going very close by the A-frame cabin there. Now that I finished the cobblestone pathway, I placed a few tree stumps around the area and then onto the vegetation. Still wanted the effect of the raised area and the vegetation to meet the effect with the slope. It's not really noticeable that there's a little gap in some places where I placed the A-frame cabin on a couple of studs and placed a few pine tree leaves as bushes around the side, and found that they actually did a pretty good job of hiding the gap. Just averts your eyes to different areas, and placing some vegetation here and there, placing a couple of the Lego trees and bushes, and then started building another cobblestone pathway. However, this one comes to a dead end, and then a little bit more vegetation around the side of the cobblestone path where it leads to the dead end. I wanted this to be a little bit more dense, like a little hideaway, and placing a few trees, making good use of the different heights, and then placing the new tent and another tree. So this is what we have so far. Of course there's a lot more work to be done, mainly at the back and around the cabin. Maybe a few more taller trees so the cabin won't be the tallest feature, and still got a tree house to be built and placed in at some point in the future. But for the open areas that are still visible, I might look at filling these up. Telescope's still there, gonna have to move that. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, buying Lego from a marketplace is a bit of a gamble, or well, yeah, it can be a gamble, and unfortunately the lot that I got was a little bit filthy. Some of the pieces were not pleasant at all. So ended up washing all of the pieces, which took me absolutely ages, and being careful washing the ones with the stickers on. Sink is now full. I mean, like, look at the drain. I don't want any small bits getting down there, so that's just about full. Yep, plenty of parts. Bits that I've washed up already. Once I've done it all, these are all the pieces that I couldn't use, and absolutely filthy box. It was proper horrible. I've dried pieces and started putting them into bags. So in the end, I'm actually quite happy with what I've got in this Lego haul, although it did take me absolutely ages to clean it. But in the future, if I'm going to be going to a marketplace looking for Lego, I'm going to make sure it's clean. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Like and subscribe.